Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this first annual Celebrate Two Rivers event. Let's have another big round of applause for tonight's entertainment, Nettle Hill. They'll be back and my comments will be brief, I assure you. I'm Greg Buckley, Two Rivers City Manager. Are y'all having a good time out there? Yes, yes. Great food, great drinks, music, great company. The chance to be outdoors on an August night in Two Rivers. It doesn't get any better than this. I want to thank our Celebrate Two Rivers event committee and our awesome Parks and Recreation staff for their hours of work preparing for this event. They even caused the winds to die down and for it to be another beautiful Two Rivers night. It's a little dark out there for them to identify themselves, but let's do a nice round of applause for the event committee and our City of Two Rivers Parks and Rec staff. Terry, Jared, Rebecca, the whole crew here. Dave, our IT guy who hasn't failed us yet and won't tonight. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. We've got some fireworks coming up tonight, and the generous sponsors for those fireworks are Sepia Chapel and Bank First. Round of applause. Again, Sepia Chapel, Bank First. Fireworks sponsors. We're also going to have some free handouts, some free giveaways to be distributed on your way out the gates tonight. And we want to thank the Metalware Corporation and several private citizens who donated those items. Again, thanks in advance. You'll love the stuff. Metalware Corporation, longtime Two Rivers industry, and several private donors. One more time, round of applause, please. We wouldn't be up here on the stage tonight if it wasn't for R&J Transport. R&J generously donated the stage tonight with one of their semi-trailers. So again, R&J Transport, again, part of the community. Big thank you. A lot of people have asked us, what is Celebrate Two Rivers? Well, tonight we're using this intermission to share with you the results of 2 years of effort that have been invested in developing the Two Rivers brand story. That includes funds invested from earnings from the city's federally funded economic development loan program that's been in place for 30 years. Those assisted a branding effort that you're going to learn more about tonight. Also, literally hundreds of committee and volunteer hours involved in meetings, focus groups, and reviewing concepts developed by our outstanding branding consultants. Lots of people have been involved in this initiative, and when we talk about branding the community, this isn't about seeking some new identity, something that is alien or foreign to the Two Rivers that we know. It's not about something that Two Rivers is not. Rather, this branding journey has been about sharing the soul and essence of this very special community that we all share, telling our genuinely Two Rivers story in a consistent and coherent manner that can be a source of pride for those of us that live here, but likewise at the same time be useful in attracting new residents, new visitors to our community, and new investors. To share more about our brand story, I'd like to introduce Kurt Andrews. Kurt Andrews is our Two Rivers City Council president. He chairs the city's branding and marketing committee. In addition to those official titles, Kurt is recently retired from a career as chief marketing officer for a number of major corporations. And on returning to the town where he was born a few years ago, no, he wasn't born a few years ago, but returning a few years ago to the town where he was born, Kurt has put heart and soul into his duties on the City Council, and specifically on the branding and marketing of this special place that we all know here in Two Rivers. So again, the chair of our Branding Marketing Committee, Council President, Kurt Andrews.
Thanks, Greg. And by the way, I'm very honored to be here to share this evening our story. As Greg mentioned, it was a little over 18 months ago that we identified a need to review how we're marketing Two Rivers and how we're telling our story. Our aim? To reverse the years of declining economic growth by developing a plan to articulate why Two Rivers is a fantastic place to live, to work, play, and share that story to attract residents, visitors, businesses, and reverse that trend. We formed a branding and marketing committee of 13 talented citizens from across the community, and they address just that. Can we also give them a hand? You can't see them tonight, but they're out there. I want to give them a hand for 2 years of great work. We set out to establish a roadmap and a process to craft our authentic brand story with community-generated brand principles and reestablish ourselves in a common language. So effectively targeting and communicating our narrative, or in other words, let's sell our community. We all know that Two Rivers is a special place, but in many ways we have been this hidden gem on the lakeshore, and we feel it's time to step up our game and letting the rest of the world know what the amazing place we have here. So we decided to take a page out of some recent successfully rebranded communities, and we conducted an agency search to assist us in this effort. We located a world-class branding agency who specializes in what they call place branding, and we started our journey. The video you're about to see is a journaling at high level and a review of the community's journey over these 18 months. That, by the way, we publicly shared on branding2rivers.com along the way. This provides an outline of the process of the community involvement. Greg touched on it a little bit. We had hours of interviews, focus groups, research, surveys, and validation to deliver what we believe is a clear, unique, proven, relevant, and authentic Two Rivers brand story. We can now start to tell our story in a unified approach that's both timeless and true. After all, it's our story. We all played a role in establishing it in some way or fashion, and we can all play a role, a positive role, in helping share this story to help grow our city. It's our collective positive energy that will make this a success. Again, let me stress that. All of our positive energy. Now, so what we say and how we say it, what we post and how we post it, what we do and what we don't do, everything communicates Two Rivers as a welcoming community to invest and to establish roots in. Let us set a solid foundation for future generations here. By the way, this video is not a marketing piece, but a documentary of this branding process that we're going to share with you tonight. We want you to understand the story and help us share it to that larger audience. We are working on a multi-year phased-in implementation plan where citizens, civic businesses, and community organizations can carry this forward. It's not going to happen overnight, nor should it, but organically, through civic participation over time, starting now. So enjoy your story, Two Rivers. And together, let's all write the next chapter and stay true to two. Roll video, please.
Two Rivers, Wisconsin isn't just another small town. We're a band of entrepreneurs and creatives whose history of grit and innovation will carry us into the next chapter of our story. We look to the past to move forward. The rivers that run through our veins and the shoreline that established our legacy just scratch the surface of the natural beauty our town offers to guests and locals alike. While some things may change, we'll always be timeless and remain true to who we are. True to two.
When branding a community, there's a lot of value in bringing in an outside consultant. There's the saying that it's hard to see your label from inside the jar, and I think that's what an outside consultant can really bring to a project like this. We don't come in with any, bias. We don't take things for granted that you think you may or may not be communicating. Everything's seen with a fresh set of eyes. But at the same time, we have to really get immersed into the community. We can't just fly in once, take a look around. So to do that, we planned 3 week-long trips. During those trips, we're getting to see not just the seasons and the different tourism activities, but we're really getting ingrained in the community, talking to business leaders, business owners, residents, tourists, and really getting an understanding of what this community is all about.
Two Rivers has this wonderful way of welcoming you, but also making you a part of it. That I have a voice that can communicate with others, and it can be heard, and I can be a part of the city government, and I can be part of the arts community, and I can be a part of what happens and what changes here is really important to me.
There is this timeless quality that I think is really essential to the character of the city. There's a history of innovation and invention here in this city, and to come here and to be able to participate and be a part of that is a real honor, and it's really fun to see how we can bring those stories to the fore.
With Sepia Chapel, I would say we are super excited to be part of the community and the other things that are happening around us. Having our kids jump on our bikes on a Saturday and having trails to go on and little places to stop and shop and so forth is that makes for a pretty good life.
I personally love the seasons that we have. I mean, we have a really nice summer, and Two Rivers has always been known as a cool city. It never gets really, really hot here. And in the wintertime, the lake has a tendency to kind of moderate how extreme the temperatures get here. But if you like cross-country skiing, outdoor activities, the nature preserves that we have here, the state parks we have here offer a tremendous opportunity for that.
Woodland Dunes is actually a very magical place for this community, this region, this state, and the world. We get visitors from all over, including Russia, Asia, and the hallmark that makes Woodland Dunes so great is that we have 1,500 acres of preserved habitat, and a good portion of that is considered globally significant in conservation status. So that in itself, piques the curiosity of many people, and we have a lot of wildlife here, great varieties of plant life, bird life, mammals, amphibians, the whole thing. So we get tourists who are interested in all of these things and more. So it's great to draw people from all over into Two Rivers.
This is one of the best communities I've ever been in, and I just love the small town atmosphere. There is no traffic jams, very little noise, very little crime, and most of the people in town, and people are just friendly and helpful. And it's a beautiful setting, let's face it. I mean, we are on Lake Michigan.
The view, every day I leave my house and go to work, and within 30 seconds I'm looking at Lake Michigan, and it's beautiful every day. I can drive 2 minutes into town and I'm on the river. There's parks everywhere. Everywhere you go, within a couple minutes you can be at one of the nice parks. And then capitalizing on the events. There's always stuff going on.
We like the city. It's got a really cool vibe. It's got charm. It really does. And it has a very interesting history, especially with the fishing.
Morning.
Strong south winds lately. For the last month, we'll get 2 or 3 really great days of fishing in, and then it starts blowing out of the south super crazy and takes our water that's normally 60 degrees on the surface, and it was dropping it all the way down to 45, 49, and then we had to search for fish again because they wouldn't be in the same spots. I don't know. Yeah. Well, it's fishing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's fishing. Okay, stop. Okay, start walking back. Ready? It was running right at the boat. I thought we lost it. Doing good. As long as you're gaining the line, you're doing good. Just make sure that the rod tip stays up and don't go any much lower than that. Because then we can get a chance to slash and they'll pop right off. Get close.
Only ever caught 2 fish my entire life.
That's your second fish?
That's 2 times fishing? Fish.
2 big fish, 3 times. Nice fish.
You are in Still Bend, Frank Lloyd Wright's built version of his Life magazine dream house. This house was built in 1939, finished in 1940. The history of this house is the original design was in Life magazine, September 26, 1938. Bernard and his wife Fern of Schwartz Manufacturing, right here in town, still in business after 100 years, subscribed to Life magazine. They had seen this house. They had a new young son, Steve, and they were ready to build a new house, and they contacted Frank Lloyd Wright and said, we really like that house you have in Life magazine. Could you build another one? And he said, sure. They found this plot of land, which was not in city limits at that point. And so Frank Lloyd Wright went to work. He took the original design from Life magazine and changed the materials to red tidewater cypress, which is this wood, and red brick out of Chicago. And construction began in the fall of 1939 and was completed in the spring of 1940. He called the house Still Bend because of this big bend in the East Twin River and a big marshy area. It's a very poetic name. This house is important to Two Rivers in that it does bring a lot of attention to Two Rivers, and it's one of 2 major historic cultural institutions in this town.
So the Hamilton Manufacturing Company got started in 1880, and it was a local guy, James Edward Hamilton, started the company to make wood type, and that wood type was used all throughout the world. It grew within 20 years. It was the largest manufacturer of wood type, and wood type was used for newspaper headlines and billboards. So it was how the entire United States communicated with each other, was these items that specifically came from Two Rivers. And so there's this kind of visual vernacular that was grown out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin.
When you think about the fact that this is a guy who grew at such a rate that within 12 years he monopolized the country. You know, think about all the newspapers between your house and mine. I don't care where it is, really, right? So he's amassed the entire country in terms of who he's supplying with product. That means if we want any information about the making of wood type in the United States, it's Two Rivers or else. As they grow, obviously the city becomes more and more engaged in it for a number of reasons. Number one, because he's employing people, but secondly, because he was such a benefactor to the community. So you have the Hamilton Community House, and you have Hamilton Manufacturing, and you have a variety of other things that he donates to the city, from the band to other things that, you know, really make that presence inseparable.
My great-grandfather went to work at Hamilton's in 1896, and my grandfather went to work there in 1910, and my dad worked there for a while, and I worked there for a little while, so Hamilton's was part of our family, and just by circumstance now it's gone. That accounted for about 4,000 jobs in this small community, so I mean that was created a big change.
People have to be recognized and acknowledged and appreciated for living here, because it was not all that great for quite a while, mainly because of losing the big employers. It was very depressing, and it's a very sad thing because it was a great part of history, and Hamilton's was a huge portion of a lot of people's lives, and for that just to be gone, you know, that's kind of heart-wrenching.
I think after factories left, it kind of took a dip, and then since then we've been trying to jump onto other things, like all the fabulous things in nature that we have to offer. Like, people just forget about Point Beach and our beach and Woodland Dunes, all the great things, and people do come here for that, and it's something that we have to play on. And yeah, our city definitely has potential to grow and become something other than an industrial factory town, even though that's where we started.
Just so much good stuff that has happened here in terms of innovation and invention. And I think that, you know, over the years, you know, some people maybe forgot about that a little bit, that so many of those things were invented here, but I think we're rediscovering those roots, and they're, you know, like you go into an old house and you're thinking of buying that house, you want to check to see that it's got good bones. Well, this is a city that's got good bones. It really does.
A lot of my peers, when I decided to open this place, were like, why? It's a dying town, blah, blah, blah. And I'm hoping that by this success, I've kind of changed their mind, because they can come in and see a line out the door with people from all over Wisconsin, and it's like, people will come here if there's something to come here for.
It can be very difficult, and it takes time to heal. But I think we've had plenty of time, we've gone through that healing process. And now we can start looking forwards.
This is kind of the cornerstone of the whole project, is the brand principles, because when we're creating a brand, it's not about personal taste. So we create one common set of values, which is the brand principles, and that's what we measure everything against. So when we're looking at taglines, logos, we're not asking, do you like this logo? We're asking, does this logo best communicate the brand principles? So that's where we start every project, is what are those brand principles? What are those shared values across all the different audiences? Whether you are a tourist or a resident, what are those shared values that attract you to this area? And so these are the 3 brand principles that we landed on and worked on with the committee. The first being timeless, the second being creative and entrepreneurial, and the third being comfortable, and comfortable speaking more to just, we're not trying to be, you know, fancy, we're not trying to be something we're not. So it kind of encompasses the welcoming side. It also encompasses style and aesthetics. You know, it's comfortable here. You know, we had multiple trips, we talked to countless people, we've done surveys, we've researched the areas, and so our first thing to do is to try to craft the brand story. So take in thousands of inputs and kind of come back out with, well, what do we think that brand story is? We really honed in on these 2 words, timeless and true. Timeless speaks to both old things that last forever, but also new things created in a timeless way. Timeless things are simple, quality, and always in style, but never trendy. They favor function over luxury. They have character and style without being flashy. They're true to their purpose. The second word was true. The lake in view is always changing, day to day and hour to hour. The city is also changing. We can embrace and be comfortable with change because we remember who we are and where we came from. We look to our past for inspiration and guidance. While we may be changing, we'll be timeless and remain true to who we are. So you can see that we're really using this idea of timeless and true, and the idea of change, there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable with change. There's a lot of people that when this project rolls out are going to go, why are we changing anything? Why are we doing anything, right? And we believe that we can bring those people along because those are important people. We can't just say, well, sorry. We think we can bring them along and make them feel comfortable with this because we'll reassure them that, yeah, things are changing, but we're going to do this in a timeless way. We're going to do this in a way that is very true to who we are, that's very true to Two Rivers. We're not changing who we are, we're just moving forward. And when we think of things that are true, I mean, Emily's shop, brand new business, started by a young female entrepreneur. Well, this is the home of the ice cream sundae. So to me, that's like a very true to who you are thing, but in a new way. Hamilton, very true to the creative and entrepreneurial spirit and the history of the community. Sepia Chapel took something that was historic and beautiful and created something new in a new way, but stayed true to the beauty and the architecture of the space.
A lot of places don't have that long history that they can draw on, but specifically Two Rivers can look at its manufacturing roots and say, we can tell a story in a very specific way and look at how things were designed. And so I love that idea that we can take this history and give it like a modern twist. So I think it's really important that design is a huge part of how a story of a city is told.
So then we get into design, which is the fun part, but it's also the hardest part. And so we took all of that information and created this mood board after many drafts, and this is the mood board that we worked on with the committee and it was approved. And we're looking at some textures, architectural styles, type, colors. This is just meant to capture a vibe that we feel is that next phase of Two Rivers, that we feel like, man, if we could capture that emotion and that feeling that comes from this, then we feel like we would get there. And so we went through hundreds of iterations internally, and we also revisited the current logo, which, there's a lot of history. It's used really well. It does, in our opinion, look dated, and there's some elements about it that it needs a refresh, but there's elements within it that we think are important that we wanted to just see, is there a way we could take that and kind of, with the mood board, create this like new version of it that it fits in with what's on the right. And so our team kind of just started internally like destructing that and like kind of simplifying it of like, all right, what basic line elements can you get there? And ultimately, one of the early versions where we felt like, man, this all of a sudden really feels like it fits with this. That to me looks like it fits the mood board of what we're going for. But then we went back to that, looking back to go forward. And specifically Hamilton, I mean, you have such a strong history of the newspapers in the news for our entire country, like what people read every day, like that typography came from Two Rivers. And so we took what we had that we really liked and we created a version that actually used actual Hamilton fonts in the two primary logos.
What I think is important about type specifically to Two Rivers is that it gives them an opportunity to brand themselves with type, and it would be really only the second city in the country that has that opportunity. I think that Nashville, Tennessee has had show print, and that iconic look is very much the Nashville look, and this is an opportunity to do the same thing.
So there's this idea that we are actively looking at what has been and looking at how we can kind of bring it forward. And so when we look at a logo, having something that's easy to read and simple can be really good because it's refreshing. I really like this logo. It's refreshing, it's clean, and it speaks to this like nice way of living along the lake. And so I love this idea that we can use Hamilton type because everybody had a brother or a cousin or an aunt who worked at Hamilton's. And so this idea that it could be a part of that, I think is really beautiful. It keeps it tied to the roots of the city, and it really makes sure that that story's told, that it doesn't get forgotten when we talk about being true to Two Rivers and true to our history. I think that's a really important part, is looking at the past because it's so important to where we're going.
These two elements are kind of a separate piece, this idea of this made in brand. Picture these like in shop windows and t-shirts and products. So imagine on the back of a wine bottle or some product, they could put the like made in Two Rivers. You guys could also put it on your children that you make in Two Rivers. We've heard that joke a few times. Using the brand principles and then combining that with user testing is what makes us really confident in making this recommendation, because it's not my opinion, it's not our team's opinion, it's not the committee's opinion. It's proven and tested that these designs, they speak to the brand principles and they communicate the things that we want them to communicate about the area. And so I think that makes us extremely confident that this is the right choice. The last phase of the project is implementation, and so we don't want to just hand back the community, here's some design files and assets. Instead, we give them a roadmap of here's a multi-year implementation plan. It is definitely a thing that's going to start off slow and organic and slowly build over time. But the greatest brands in the world mean nothing on day one. It's all about how it's implemented, and in a community that comes down to really to you guys. We have to have these brand champions to like get the process, get what we're going after, so that when our part's done, you guys can pick it up and run with it and be those brand champions that really make it happen.
Well, I would say a greater majority of the people are excited to make this city something better. I think there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that's really going to enhance Two Rivers. I mean, we're the coolest spot in Wisconsin. All that stuff coming together, and people will see the community awaken. You can feel the buzz and the electricity in the city of people going, wow, things are happening, things are changing. People are trying to make a difference in our community. And I think if we can compound on that, we're going to see great things in the city.
We're yelling it. You know, we're not silent anymore, and we're letting the larger world know that, hey, here's Two Rivers. Here's what we've got. You've got to come and see us. And people are. We must be doing something right.
I hope it does inspire some people to do things here directly, because a lot of people have been deterred from starting things here because it's a dying town or whatever, but you have to realize that you have to put some effort into the town in order to like get it going.
For me, that's kind of the true to two. There's so much tradition and connection between neighbors and friends and family here in this place that it's kind of rare. But it is a very trusting and welcoming place to live, and I think that when we think about that, that authenticity and generousness of spirit, that's what comes to mind when I think of the true to two.
We're really excited to see what the community does with it. I mean, this is your brand. This is something, again, this was already here. You guys already know this because you're here, you love it. But this hopefully gives you guys the tools to go out, achieve your goals for your business, for your family, and make it what you want it to be.
So, what did you think, Two Rivers?
Couldn't have planned that one better.
We scripted it that way, honest to goodness. We hope you are as excited and filled with civic pride as the members of our marketing and branding committee, and as all of us here tonight as volunteers are. And we hope you're inspired to join in to make a positive difference for Two Rivers. Let's have one more round of applause for our branding committee. You saw so many of them in the video. A lot of good work here. And let's remember tonight's sponsors. Again, the sponsors for that wonderful fireworks display by Spielbauer Fireworks, and that is Sepia Chapel and Bank First National. RJ Transport, without whom we would have nowhere to stand, nor would Nettle Hill have anywhere to play. R&J Transport. And then, when you stick around tonight, watch the rest of the concert and leave. There are some wonderful free giveaways courtesy of donations from the Metalware Corporation and numerous private donors. Thank you to those donors. And with that, back to Kurt Andrews.
Thank you. Thank you, Two Rivers. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, team out there working hard. First of all, Greg mentioned we're going to have some free giveaways from Metalware. Let's show a picture of what those look like. Okay, Dave? Got that slide? There you go. So on your way out, grab some of the free giveaways. There'll be people stationed at the exits, so make sure you get yours. There's some balloons back there as well. And oh yeah, we have some new branded logo wear. The light just went on the concession where it's available. So let's show what that looks like, Dave.
Hey, Dave!
There you go. It's available for sale tonight to wear with pride and to help us brand our community. We also want you to know that all proceeds are going back to the Park and Rec's event committee dollars. So, and by the way, if you don't feel like picking one up tonight, we've worked with the Schrader's team, and we're going to have them in Schrader's starting on Monday, and they'll be there for you to pick up as well, with, again, some of the proceeds going to Parks and Rec from Schrader's. As I said before, marketing is a very long-term approach. Telling and retelling and telling and retelling our story to the right audience. And by the way, not everything is going to change overnight. I know some people are out there saying we're going to change all our logos in the city. This will take a long time, and we need civic dollars and business dollars to help us do that. It's going to have a slow but sure change. We'll get the word out that Two Rivers is a worthwhile place to invest in, to move to, a destination not to be missed. I want to thank all you guys in advance for being brand ambassadors of Two Rivers. Enjoy the rest of the night, and let's welcome back Nettle Hill. Thank you all very much.